Hey, this is a quick run through of our Saturday Morning Harpoons match to date. I'm not going to get into too much detail here. I'm just going to run through it a couple times and show everybody what's what. I'm going to give you an idea of the ranges here. Let's see, at the end here, these helos are roughly 15-20 miles away from the targets. These OH Perrys in this kid class. This is a Virginia class, USS Virginia. I'll go slowly through this, how we got to this point. One Sovereignty had been destroyed. It's still a burning hulk from I think it was from the beginning of the second session. We just finished the third session of this. These fighters are just on the periphery at this point. We haven't pulled them into the match yet. May or may not. I think we're gonna do probably gonna cut this scenario off after the next session, just kind of see where we're at, and maybe move on and redesign something for other tutorial sake and gameplay sake. But let's run through this real quick. Go back in time here. I'm gonna pause it. All right. So the way that I first depicted everything here was by task group. I had done a couple just Task Force Alpha, Task Force 1, etc. I just gave them some goofy names. It's alright. I hadn't really established too much of a strategic game yet. I'm trying to get to the point where I can do some more of like a strategic harpoon, where task groups can be split up, reunited, moved, early warning systems with a certain range. I'd like to get to the point where, as range bubbles kind of hit each other, then there's just going to be certain percent chances of taking it to the table, if you will, based on just the composition of those task groups, etc. I might even work in some sort of random rules, some relatively educated random rules as far as how many units are within the battle area and so forth. But that was the gist of what I was doing here. Play it coming forward. This was a patrol boat group that I had done just separately. It doesn't really come into play here. Let's see, keep going. So the carrier groups slowly make their way towards each other. They haven't seen each other yet. And at one point or another, I add in some extra. Oop. I thought I had more there. But this is when the actual first session has started. Okay. Get a little bit closer here. So we have a OH Perry, the USS Taylor, a Kidd class USS Kidd, and an OH Perry class USS Nicholas, fighting against a Zadorny named Slotchky. That's an interesting name. Not a real name. I think I just threw a name on there. Zadorny class Zadorny, first in class, and a Seremny class Seremny, first in class as well. So a couple things to keep in note: that these Zadornys, while they have a reasonable radar, the range on their missiles is quite short. It's really more of a these are more of an ASW type frigate. This is just the way that I had composed it based on the task groups that were involved, etc. Blah blah blah. All right, so let's continue. Kind of good. This is still the first session, if you will. We had gotten to the point. It looked like the U.S. had changed course a bit. They slowed down, changed, trying to get closer to one another, I believe, at this point right here. At this point, the Seremny had gone active and targeted, I believe, the Kidd. So as you see, it's musk. I think these muskets. I fired 4 of them. I probably should have fired 8 in retrospect. Hey, live and learn. But watch, you'll see what happens. Boom, boom, boom. It does hit the Kidd, I believe, with 1 missile. I need to go back and check. I can't remember if it was 1 or 2. Finally got all the way through. But the Kidd did take some damage. It took approximately a 14% combined with all its crits. It rolled a pretty significant amount of crits. So not only did it do its original DP of damage, but it also had caused an initial fire. I believe there was a bridge hit as well. And there were a couple extra fires as well. It all computed to about 14%, and that was some some immediate damage, and residual damage would occur in about three tactical turns later, and we'll show you what happens there. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Now the kid fires at the Serenity. I believe it was 4 missiles. Yeah, 4 harpoons. I think all 4 of them got through, and it just absolutely annihilated it. Then Nicholas, just timing wise, this is what happened. Nicholas got fired off later in the next tactical turn, I believe. And if I'm not mistaken, as you can see, it rolled very poorly, or I rolled very poorly for them, as far as being on target for the resolution check. And it veered. It actually veered, I can't remember, 30 degrees, almost directly at the Zadorny. So it was kind of spot on as far as where it was going to head. So the Seeker sought out whatever was next in line here, and voila, it does get to it, and it takes it out. It actually took him out. There were only two missiles there. I believe the back it up one. Hoisberry Taylor had fired to Harpoon as well at the Burning Hulk that was the Supremacy. I think it technically hit it, or would have hit it, but it hit a bulk at that point, or a Hulk. All right, so then here, this is third stage, third session. Certain units are starting to show up from the carrier groups, right? We have some inbound Tomcats. I kind of judge this as not being fully into the area yet. I also have some flankers coming in, Su-27s. At some point, I might judge this separately as a dogfight over here, just for my own edification more than anything. But the main body of the battle is still here in the middle. Let's see what joined us. We were joined. This again still is the Nicholas, Kid, Taylor. These are both O.H. Perry. This is a Kid class. Another Perry came in, USS Antrim, as well as the mighty USS Virginia class, guided missile cruiser, nuclear powered. Very nice ship. That's the ship that I have pictured on the YouTube for this one. Doesn't really get into the action yet, and neither necessarily does the Antrim, but we do get into some action here. And this was today's session we're into. Okay, so pretty soon after, within a tactical turn, the two Perrys in the front of the picket launched their Seahawks. Hold on. Yeah, the SH-60B Seahawks. They're ASW, but they have a reasonable SS ship radar, surface radar. And that will come into play here in a moment, because at this point here, they do start to get active contacts throughout here. So what they eventually do is these Seahawks use their near real-time data links to pass back to their motherships, if you will, their parent ships. So at best, what they're trying to do is get at best a good. They're trying to increment forward with the Seahawks to get a good resolution, so that at least according to the newer data link rules from the SITREP, they can pass back a fair resolution to their parent. Okay. At that, there's a certain point where there was what was it? There was a delay in the timing. I think based on the fact that the missile to be fired was going to be a Harpoon, so there was a -1 on the chart. So I think effectively they had to wait at least 2 tactical turns before firing, and we'll see if that. I'll leave it as blue side for a moment. And now they're just trying to stave off going directly at them. They've already passed back their information. Boom. Boom. Now we're firing. That previous one was when they were planned and in the process of being launched, and now they're about to move. Boom, 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 boom. Now what happens is this ship rolls very poorly on the Slotsky, again a fictitious name. I just throw it on there. It rolled very poorly in its reaction time. I think I rolled a 4 with 2d6, and as a result, the increment at which it could react, its reaction during the going through the steps on page 8-1 of Harpoon 5 rules, it took the increments beyond their ability to react. So at most, they're going to get a point blank firing of their air to air gunnery. So they're Gatling, their 30 millimeter. I think they have one other surface. They have one other ship gun that they can fire as well. So they'll be able to do a point blank, just guns only attempt to take down the two missiles coming here. This ship, the Zadorny itself, was fired on by Nicholas. I believe we've got two more harpoons inbound here. He rolled slightly better. He rolled a 5 on the reaction, and then cross correlating with the combat system, etc. He ended up getting right at the 6 increments, which is exactly the distance they needed. The blue team did very well at closing an extra bit of time, just a bit of extra increment to in order to get it to that edge, that edge of the combat system of the enemy and their reaction time, and then poor rolls just combined to these guys are going to have a very hard time surviving this. I have a feeling that at least one of these ships, more than likely this one, will possibly get hit, has a reasonable chance of getting hit and damaged significantly. I think that's where we left it off. Let me go one more forward. Yeah, that's it. So let me just play through it one more time. Let it go through. Here's again. Task groups, carrier groups, if you will. Closing in on one of at some point their bubbles touched. And then I set out the first mission. And here we go. Boom. Boom. The kid strikes back. Boom. Kaboom. Take it out. Boom. Oops, I missed. Not because it was a hog, but because it just missed. And boom. It did. Pause for a second. So Sam's had properly taken out the incoming 2 harpoons. Here we go. The healers are helping out. 2 OH parries are firing. And very likely, I think, out of these 2, I think this one probably has a better chance or higher probability of getting a hit. We'll see. We'll see if this captain is sleeping on the deck like the rest of my Soviet captains have been doing of late. So that's the crux of that's where we're at. I'm probably gonna do one more session of this scenario, just kind of close it out, tally up where we're at. But I actually think the blue forces have done pretty darn well, and have learned a lot, including myself, throughout the match about what to do, how to do it, when to do it. It's been fun.